Bro, you just dissed me for the final time. Bro, you just showed me disrespect. The only course of action left is to take this to the ring. This coming Monday night, we're gonna duke it out for keeper. And I will climb to the top rope and jump and kick you in the face. And I've been training all my wrestling skills, so I will surely win. It doesn't matter if it's submission, elimination, or just pin. And when I beat you, everyone will know how weak you are. You'll lose your job. I'll take your fans and take your girl, and then I'm gonna take your belt.
Welcome to Marking Out in the Morning, coming to you live from Audacity Solutions Studios in Des Moines, Iowa. I am your host, the Audacity. It is November 4th, approximately, just about 10 a.m. And I'm running late because before I went on the air, I decided to post at Inquisitor the spoiler-free NXT preview, so that it was easy for those who wanted to find it online. And that's what I will use to reference our NXT spoiler-free preview. To get into that, also we have the match list for SmackDown without the match results, because why watch it if you already know what happens? I don't understand people who like spoilers. That's so weird to me. So that's what we'll do then. My friend Brian will be on. We'll go over just the different headlines. There's not a lot of major ones, although finally, it seems like lately I haven't had hardly anything to do with WWE, which is kind of my bread and butter as far as what I know about. And today, most of the headlines are that. Most of it's just gossip and rumors. It's not a lot of news, really, but what do you expect on a Wednesday morning for a wrestling podcast that reports stuff every day? You know, there's not a lot of new stuff. And I don't like to rehash stuff, other than my own opinions, by framing questions for my guests in ways that will hopefully result in a response that echoes my own opinion previously stated. So yeah, that's what we got. I will go ahead and just dive right into the NXT spoiler-free preview. I'm sorry, let me get it pulled back up. The best way to check this out for yourself is to go to my article at Inquisitor. That's INQUISITR.com. It's probably not going to be on the front page because I doubt they place a high priority on NXT articles at this website that is just a broad news aggregate. But anyway, it's a pretty good full preview of the show tonight. We've got 4 matches. As you probably know, Apollo Crews challenges Finn Balor for the NXT Championship. You gotta believe that's gonna be at least like a 20-minute match, right? You would hope. I don't feel like the title's gonna change hands on an NXT show. We'll talk more about it later. Anyway, that's the main event. Eva Marie makes her return to NXT Wrestling in a match against Marley, who doesn't matter as far as I'm aware. Bull Dempsey goes up against Angelo Dawkins, and I believe to kick off the show we have Asuka up against Cameron, who we have not seen very much lately. So a relatively interesting card. Step forward tonight. We'll go over some of that a little more in detail. We'll just go opening match to final match. So we have Asuka versus Cameron, and like I said, Cameron hasn't really done much since splitting with Naomi. Naomi really hasn't done much other than kind of befriend Sasha Banks so that she could be in a stable that's relevant to the Divas Revolution. I don't think that she deserves it. I'm just saying I don't know that she would have got it had she not been able to, hang around with Sasha Banks. So Anyway, Cameron is trying to learn to wrestle. If you've watched Total Divas or any of that, you've seen it on there. She's trying to get better. She was the one who infamously said that her favorite match of all time was like, I don't know, some terrible, stupid match like Eva Marie or Eva Torres. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I can't think of her right now. But I can't imagine that Cameron's going to get a win here unless Dana Brooke and Emma get involved, and that could be a possibility where they cause Cameron the ability to win. Bull Dempsey versus Angelo Dawkins. I mean, Bull Dempsey's character, I don't think it really requires him to win to get over. He's just like a chubby guy trying to be less chubby. So, whatever. Angelo Dawkins, I don't know if they're trying to push him, but it's really not going to hurt Bull Dempsey at this point to lose a match since he's in chubby phase or whatever is going on. So, whatever. I expect a decent match. Angelo Dawkins, I expect, gets the win. And then Bull Dempsey does some weird thing about his diet or his workout. Or if he wins, then it's just proof that his diet is working. And but I don't think they're going to do that. Eva Marie versus Marley. Again, Marley is like, I don't even know who that is. I bet she'll get her own entrance and theme song, which is nice that all the newbies in NXT get the full treatment. But I don't see any reason Eva Marie won't win this match. She's, as far as everyone's been saying, she's really high on WWE's radar or whatever, what they want for the future. She's not super talented, but she has been working a lot with Brian Kendrick. She is one of the main focuses of Total Divas, and she is super hot, fairly young, has the same management as The Rock and Ronda Rousey, so she's gonna do all right. I don't see any reason she won't make Marley look really bad. And in the main event, again, I don't see any reason that Apollo Crews wins the title tonight. He might win the NXT title at some point, but I don't see any reason why that happens tonight. He's super new and he's super on fire, and I don't know if there's going to be a dusty finish or anything where basically it's just not a clean finish. I don't know how it's going to end, but I don't think it's going to end with Apollo Crews taking the title, and I don't think necessarily Apollo Crews is going to lose 100% clean. So I don't know if somebody else gets involved, if there's some weird referee crap, who knows. But it should be a good match. They're both super good performers. So I do believe Brian is joining us. How you doing this morning, Brian?
Oh, not too bad. Waking up, gloomy fall day. Other than that, pretty good.
Yeah, I hear that. Are you going to be watching NXT tonight?
I'm going to try to. I might have to watch, not live, but after the fact. I started today, so.
Yeah, it's new. It's like weird to think about how, like, when we were watching wrestling, like, you kind of had to be watching it live or like set your VCR to record it while you're not there, or you had to be like super rich to have like DVR capabilities back in the Attitude Era. It's so much easier to stay current.
A lot easier.
Yeah. So, yeah, because I even have like kind of like a standing, every Wednesday night one of my friends comes over for NXT, and lots of times I just take a nap like right before he's supposed to come, and then it doesn't matter if he's there like, right at 7 or if he's not there till like 9, because I'm just napping, and then you just start the show and it's totally normal. And that is one of the greatest things about the last, 10 years of the world. But anyway, we're off topic a little bit. So there's going to be 4 matches tonight on NXT. Obviously the title match, Finn Balor defending against Apollo Crews. Do you think there's any reason to believe that Crews wins the title tonight?
I heard the tail end of what you were saying about the potential dusty finish and stuff, which, is always a possibility. But the only thing I could see maybe why is with the main roster being so I don't want to say depleted, but I mean, with Orton's injury and Cena being gone and all that stuff, I mean, it's there's plenty of room right now for people to kind of step up and make a name for themselves. And I mean, I know Finn's got to be near the top of the list for the next up and comer.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of people think that he's going to debut at the Survivor Series as, kind of his demon-y character to help the Undertaker and Kane. Do you think there's any chance that happens?
I'd say that's probably the most likely scenario. I don't know if he drops the title now or if they wait to, a little closer, or they might have him drop it now and kind of, keep him off NXT, for a couple more weeks, and so it seems like more of a mystery type of thing.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool, especially if they. I feel like a Survivor Series match is a good way to use someone like Sting, who isn't like in his peak physical condition right now, but at short minutes intervals where he just gets tagged in and like can go hard for like 5 or 10 minutes and then tag out and rest, and then come back in or whatever. I feel like that's like a great use for him. And then especially with something like The Undertaker. And then even if it doesn't happen, at least everybody starts talking about Sting versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 32. And we know that Vince is like, got a huge boner for getting WrestleMania 32 to break some records or whatever. So I feel like you can always bring back Brock Lesnar to kind of be like, hey, I know we had that feud, but now I fucking hate Bray Wyatt too. But I feel like that's not a great use of Brock Lesnar, and it's not like a great time to show like a human side to Brock Lesnar, Yeah. Anyway, so I get a little off topic sometimes. Back to NXT. I don't think Finn Balor drops tonight either, but I don't feel like it's I don't think it's going to be a super clean finish. And I could see, like, maybe at the next NXT special, Samoa Joe getting involved and making it a 3-way. Or maybe even Baron Corbin making it a 4-way. And especially if they don't have a specific place for Finn Balor, if they're not going to use him for Survivor Series, they might not really debut him on the main roster till Royal Rumble. I know he did some dark matches, they taped some NXT matches in front of the SmackDown audience, and with him and Samoa Joe, it seemed to go over well. But I can see both of those guys getting held off until Royal Rumble and being two of the kind of surprise entrants that night. And then around that same time, him dropping the title to, Apollo Crews or whoever. Anyway, we'll move on to the next match because Eva Marie versus Marley, probably not going to be match of the night, but I kind of love Eva Marie, and I am interested to see if the Brian Kendrick training has paid off anymore. I haven't got any Total Divas updates lately, so I see a lot of workout tweets from her when I skimmed through them today, but not a lot of Brian Kendrick. So I don't know. How do you feel about Eva Marie, and how do you feel about? I guess one other thing too. I've kind of noticed that in NXT, all these new girls who are really nobodies. As far as I know, they're not even indie scene girls or anything. They're just just whatever new people. But they're getting full entrances. They're getting full, music and video and backstory, which I think is really cool for the newbies. But do you think Eva Marie is just gonna get the win tonight and kind of move on?
Yeah, I think they're high on her. Obviously, she's hot, but
that she is.
But it's just, I don't know. They talk, the whole Divas revolution and wanting to make women's wrestling like the biggest it's ever been, and so I mean they have somebody like Paige who is a great wrestler, and they keep going back and forth, with her. They can't make up their mind. And I mean the Bellas have worked hard, don't get me wrong, but I mean they're not great. I don't think they really ever will be. But and it's just like, I wish they'd make up their mind as far, are they going to go wrestling or are they going to go models? I mean,
right.
It's, I just kind of wish they'd make up their mind, I guess. It's just annoying sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not bad to have some of those models around, like doing like with the kind of stuff Lana and Summer Rae do. Summer Rae's not even really a bad wrestler, but like Lana especially, she's a good example of, as far as I know, someone who doesn't have a lot of in-ring ability and someone who's not really trying to make that part of her thing. She can be physical, but not, you know what I mean? Unlike when they started putting like Sable and Miss Kitty as champions back in the day. I mean, Sable turned out to be decent, but whatever. Nikki Bella, I feel like is already way past Sable level, and maybe more like a.
Oh, definitely.
Maybe up there in like a Trish Stratus level, or in that arena. That's what they're looking for, I think, with all these, models who they try to turn wrestlers. I think they're hoping they find the next Trish Stratus that way, and they haven't had a Trish Stratus for. Really since Trish Stratus.
Trish Stratus.
I can't think of anyone else who WWE trained, from a different profession that they didn't already want to do a wrestler. Who is that good? So, so we have Eva Marie, who's probably going to win tonight, and then the other Divas match, or not Divas match, man. I do love that they don't call it Divas on NXT, but I believe the opening match of the night is going to be Asuka versus Cameron, and so this leads, I mean, I don't really think there's any chance that Cameron gets a clean win over Asuka. She might if, like I said, Dana Brooke and or Emma get involved somehow. But I don't really think there's much of a chance that Ms. Bliss wins the women's title in NXT. But then, if you're trying to say who's going to come next, there's I think at least three pretty viable contenders. You have maybe before you have Asuka, who's, the Hideo Itami of the women's division in NXT. And she's been kind of just going through everyone, and she has really kind of hilarious facial expressions and antics and everything. Then, of course, there's whoever comes out on top between her and Dana Brooke, because Dana Brooke is pretty legit, it seems. And if they can heel her way past Asuka right now, she could be the next one up. There's Nia Jax, who is just gonna destroy people for a while, I think. But a lot of times WWE uses those characters to go straight to the title, like Great Khali did, and a lot of people like that. And then, of course, there's Eva Marie, who they think is going to get pushed pretty hard, so they may want to give her a shot at the fan-loved Bayley. Who do you think is the next real contender for the NXT Women's Championship?
Oh, God. That's hard to say. I mean, right now I would say, kind of, unfortunately, because I don't think she's ready, but Eva Marie, just because of the push. But at the same token, I think they're running dangerously close to maybe, a la Roman Reigns of, pushing him down the fans' throats too hard, and they're just going to turn on him. Roman's kind of rebounded from that a little bit, I believe, but, whenever they try to do that, the fans kind of know it, and they just aren't having it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's be done. I guess we could talk real quick. Bull Dempsey versus Angelo Dawkins. I don't remember Angelo Dawkins getting any kind of push recently, but Bull Dempsey's character doesn't really need to win to get over. So I don't really know what they're going to do with this match, and I don't think it's real significant either way, honestly. But it might be an entertaining filler match, as both those guys are relatively funny in the ring these days. So that's really all we need to say about NXT. I think any other thoughts or anything before we move on?
No, I think I'm good with the NXT talk for now.
All right, well, let me get up we'll run real quick through the match list for SmackDown tomorrow. We won't talk too much about it. I was on Ticketmaster this morning because you can pre-order WrestleMania tickets as of today, and I had the code, but the WWE fans, I think, basically crashed the site. And then there was one time the order I was about ready to be able to order one, and I wasn't paying attention, and time expired. So I think basically all the pre-sale ones are probably gone. And so anyway, in case you were curious about that, why did I didn't want that to open? Man, I'm having some real issues.
Well, okay. If you can, with your podcast now, if you can, write it off as a business expense and get, press passes or something, and if you need somebody to go with you, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, man, I don't think I haven't thought about that many times. And I don't know if you can hear in the background, but I got Survivor Series 1989 playing in the background. And this is like one I don't have memorized. I wish I was kind of paying closer attention, but I'm glad I'm kind of now I can go back and watch it again like in a couple of weeks. I don't really remember anything, but that's like right before I got into it. So it's all these characters and wrestlers I know, but just stories that I didn't really ever get invested in when they were relatively current. Okay, so Thursday Night SmackDown. Real quick, we'll go through the match list. I can't tell if I'm going main event to opening match or opening match to main event. I'm going to say main event to opening match. Alberto Del Rio versus Neville in a non-title match. The Usos versus the Ascension. A traditional Survivor Series match with the Wyatt family versus the Primetime Players and the Lucha Dragons. Ryback versus King Barrett. Natalya versus Tamina Snuka. And Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose. Any of those matches sound interesting to you?
Well, I think the Owens and Ambrose match, I think those two could really put on a show, but, I don't know if either one of them will really, get the time to do it at the moment.
Yeah. But if that's either way, if that's the opening match and the main event match are basically the two biggest matches. So either way, they're giving them a pretty big spot, and hopefully they give them at least, whatever a solid match on SmackDown be like, 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, if it's really good. So SmackDown, there's better stuff on it than they give it credit for. That Survivor Series match could be fun just because I love Survivor Series matches, and I'm sure the Wyatts will look really strong in that match. But, yeah. So let's go real quick then through some of the headlines and the rumors and all that kind of fun stuff. Somebody else at Inquisitor wrote an article basically letting us know that SmackDown is not going to be moving to Tuesday nights when it goes to USA. According to someone from the USA Network, it's going to be staying on Thursday nights, which probably means it will not be a live show, and means the changes are going to have to come in other directions. I was reading the other day that the USA has also been going really hard at getting more family-friendly advertisers for their SmackDown show. So I don't know what other kind of changes there'll be when it moves over to USA if they're not changing nights and they're not going live, but that's really the kind of latest on that. Do you expect anything major change? Do you think the attitude will change at least, how they book it and how they promote it once it goes to USA?
It's hard to say. I mean, obviously I think they want SmackDown, because Raw pulls in decent enough ratings for them, so they really want to change it that much or make it more like Raw a little bit. It's hard to say. You don't want them, fans of one product, if there's any, strictly Raw viewers or strictly SmackDown viewers, I'm thinking they're going to want them to kind of, watch both of them now. So I don't know if they would really make it all that different from another, just to, potentially turn somebody off to it or something.
Yeah, definitely. Well, with I'm hoping at least the USA Network helps promote the show more, which makes WWE more invested in the show, and that even if they have to find some sort of niche that is like kind of like I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to try to throw out ideas now or whatever, but yeah, hopefully SmackDown gets kind of a reboot, because I'm forced to watch all wrestling every week while I do this, so I like it to be better, Anyway, let's move on.
Like you're forced.
I am. It's part of my job now, so I have to watch all of it. With Batista, he just was interviewed recently or whatever and talked a little bit, kind of yammered about his poor return in 2014. He did say, though, he does want to eventually come back and do one final run and one final match with WWE, quote, on his own terms. Would there be any way in which you would be interested in Batista coming back for one more match?
As long as he comes back and beats Daniel Bryan. No. Gosh, I don't even know. I mean, I was never that high on him ever to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, if he does, he does, but, and I'd watch it or whatever, but.
If you were there, WWE Creative, and they asked for your idea for who Batista gets booked against in his final match, who do you take him with? Who do you book him against? We'll say it's WrestleMania 33 in Minneapolis. Batista versus who for his final match?
Oh, oh man. I would think probably one of Batista's top picks would be Triple H, but kind of have the feeling I've been there, done that with Triple H.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of an unfair question to me to just spring on you, because I don't have an answer, and I've known it was in the air for a lot longer than you have. So maybe that's an indication that it's not really that important that he ever comes back if we don't have a good answer for, like, oh, who do you want him to go up against? Maybe it's just like, well, that's your answer, is you don't really need to come back. Maybe if Triple H just really wants a match at WrestleMania, because, I feel like that would be his, kind of, unless there's some young guy he really likes for some reason, I just feel like, him and Triple H can have one match, and then Batista can just go be a Marvel superhero, and he's almost better at that than being a wrestler anyway, in my opinion, so whatever.
Yeah. But,
also
well, real quick, I don't know if you saw this, but speaking of kind of Batista and rumors, I did see that at the UK premiere of the new James Bond movie, Shane McMahon made an appearance with Batista. So there's all kinds of rumors that I mean, Shane McMahon's taken a lot lesser role in the company he established after he left. So there's all kinds of rumors that he might be coming back in some sort of role with WWE.
Yeah, I heard that too, and then I heard there's also everything from, whatever, going back to kind of an on-air role against the authority to something like where he does have, they said that there was in the list of future DVD releases or like network specials or something, there was like a best of Shane O'Mac, and that he would probably come back to do commentary for that, and then they'd have him record a bunch of stuff for all the other, news list shows and all that stuff that WWE's putting out. But yeah, I would be a huge fan of him actually coming back, and I like him as a kind of physical management presence, and he's kind of a fun guy to get other authority figures all riled up and whatnot.
Definitely 100% agree with that.
So, all right, and one other thing that I haven't really read too much about, but I saw it's kind of going all over the place, and Rolling Stone reported about it, was Ronda Rousey saying like, oh yeah, she like watches NXT and blah, blah, blah. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and I would like to see the position of women in the sport continue to improve. So if I can be a part of it, great. So obviously I don't think it's ever going to work out. Yeah, and then she goes on again, hold on, well, there's something more, I guess, where it's like, I'm really encouraged by what I've seen, what they're doing in WWE. There's more that can be done. Blah, blah, blah. All these great women from NXT are all different from normal mold, would be true for the Divas division. I'm not going to take credit for anything, but I definitely want to be part of it as much as I can. Is that really her? No, that can't be it. That can't be her that said that, right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Ronda Rousey in the WWE or NXT. Obviously, it can't really be done while she's under contract with UFC, but if and when she's a free agent again, do you think that happens, and do you think it works well in WWE?
I could see her transitioning very well. I think obviously the WWE is very high on her already. And I just think she could move over. I mean, yeah, there might be a few hiccups, transitioning, but but like you said, I mean, as long as she's under contract, and I mean, I don't know if, whether it comes to her being a free agent or after she retires, because I mean, really, there doesn't really seem like there's a whole lot left, she can do in UFC. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think, I mean, how do you end up, if she does end up going WWE, is there ever a good way to book her where she doesn't win? I mean, how did you ever book a match? If she like remains undefeated in UFC, and like no woman ever in the world has ever been able to even like touch her really, and then she comes to WWE, I mean, who do you think? How do you think they eventually? I mean, can you have Sasha Banks beat Ronda Rousey, or like, you know what I mean? Even like,
that's a good question.
It doesn't matter who it is. Like, there's no way you have to like completely. Even worse than like Brock Lesnar, you just have to completely forget like, oh yeah, this woman could destroy most of the men in the locker room, like legit. Not like China, like she could bench more than most of them. It's like she could make most of them cry. And then you're gonna like, who? I mean, I don't know, man. There's some things where it's just like, that's a bit much. But I guess if that's what you want me to believe, that Ric Flair's daughter is going to outfight Ronda Rousey, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, but maybe that's, maybe they, bring her in and, build her up as this like monster in UFC. I mean, not that they have to build her up for that, but that, you know, like, she's beating all the toughest women in the world, so maybe they bring her in to go against guys. I mean, I don't think she would, you know, necessarily be against it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd hate to see the first person that tries to tries to do a stiff shot on Ronda Rousey and then have her come back at him, but
yeah, no kidding.
So, you know, I mean, I definitely think she could. In some way, form coming to the WWE, but they would just, you know, have to perfectly, I think, work.
Yeah. Would be interesting. I think I like anything that helps bring kind of legitimacy and like more mainstream attention. And now that they have like a weekly spot on SportsCenter and, you know, whatever, and they're whatever. I like anything through that. So if Ronda Rousey was like willing to come and like, you know, be involved in any kind of fun way, that will be pretty sweet, I think. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna get things kind of wrapped up. There's not a whole lot of other real news, mostly just gossip about stuff like Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 32 and Adam Rose possibly re-bringing back the Bunny, and whether or not Alberto Del Rio's really getting $1.45 million a year, or whether it's more like a third of that amount, and whether or not Vince is going to let him go have one more match to give up his AAA title. And there's ROH pay-per-view updates, but I don't know any of those guys anyway. And this one band I really like, Every Time I Die, one of their guys is like in an indie promotion somewhere, and I think somewhere maybe in Pennsylvania. And so he's getting a little kind of attention. Right after that Corey Taylor thing happens, now this other guy and this other kind of Every Time I Die, they're like, it was kind of evolved around a lot of those people who were big in the hardcore scene like 12 years ago, and this is one of the bands I actually liked from that time. Anyway, doesn't matter. That was just one of my favorite stories, but almost nobody will know who Every Time I Die really is. Anyway, so before we wrap everything up, is there anything else you want to talk about, get off your chest, confess, anything?
Gosh.
It's okay if it's not.
I think my wishes will be in vain. But like I had kind of mentioned earlier, with some of the top guys, either taking a break or being out, that I just hope some of the guys, whether it be NXT or some of the guys already on the main roster, like Ziggler and Cesaro, and I hope maybe they can, take a couple steps up. But it's the thing of whether WWE will let them, or if they're just gonna kind of spin their wheels till the other guys come back. I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Also,
for sure.
I mean, I'm kind of disappointed how Bray Wyatt's kind of went from like this, monster, like mysterious heel to like I read somewhere and I agreed with it, but referred to as basically a cartoon character heel now. I don't think they really had to go that direction with Bray Wyatt, but
yeah, with like the lightning and the fire and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it either, but I guess if this is like, if they're thinking like long term, like they want to find their next Undertaker, who's always this kind of weird, dark, sometimes has, magical powers and kind of can die and keep coming back. Like, if you want that to last for like 10 years, then you probably got to have kids who are like 5, 6, and 7 years old right now be like, oh, that's that Bray Wyatt guy. He can like do lightning. It's cool. And then as they get older and realize how fake it is, they're like, well, that was still pretty sweet. And then like when they're hitting teenager, that's when like, you know, their Undertaker goes like Ministry and Biker Taker, and they're like, yeah, now Bray Wyatt like cusses and like, you know, whatever. He's like this badass. And then they get all nostalgic, and it's like back to when Undertaker goes like back to old school. And they're like, oh yeah, I remember when Bray Wyatt was weird and could control the lightning. That was cool. And so maybe that's maybe it could be the best long-term plan, would be like get those kids now so that they're to Bray Wyatt what we are to like the Undertaker, and then they'll be all pissed off when some other idiot in like 20 years is like doing these gimmicks and Bray Wyatt's like too old to move, and they're like, what? Why are they stealing all Bray Wyatt's powers? He's the one that used to do that. And then, you know, it'll just be the cycle of always having one weird supernatural thing, so you can always have some super messed up gimmick if you really need it for whatever reason, where there's like, oh, someone's going to actually die in this match, or like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like they always
I've also heard some rumors maybe that, I doubt it, but that Daniel Bryan will be part of Taker's team or something with the little problem he had with the Wyatt family.
Yeah, that would be a
sweet comeback. Excuse for that or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's basically for a lot of the guys right now, especially for someone like Daniel Bryan who's making a comeback or making a debut, the big, I mean, I guess there's kind of four really, because you have Survivor Series, where you could, especially if you need a surprise, you could always just be the surprise Undertaker partner, you know. Or then there's always Royal Rumble, which is always a decent time to debut a new person as a surprise. Or you just make an announcement and your first match is at WrestleMania, or the night after WrestleMania, you could be like the big surprise pop of the night for that. So I feel like Daniel Bryan could be any of those four, because it sounds like he's, from everything I've heard, his doctors or whatever say he's healthy, but it's the WWE's insurance type doctors who are like, not yet. So.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well,
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it'll be cool. I'm sure, even if not as a wrestler, I'm sure he'll be. Hopefully, they'll get something more than just hosting. Hopefully, he'll be like a referee or be really involved, and I don't know, somehow, if not actually wrestling. Hopefully, by 32, he's back in the ring for at least one more match.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and play the closing clip. Thanks for chatting with us this morning, and we will probably talk to you next Wednesday morning.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Thanks for having me. You too, buddy.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Marking Out in the Morning is proud to be recorded in Des Moines, Iowa at Audacity Solutions Studios. You can check us out at HEELZiggler.com. Follow us on Twitter at HEELZiggler_com. The song you hear at the beginning of the show was recorded in Des Moines, Iowa by my friend Campbell D'Souza with recording studios of Phil Young. You likely also heard the song Parsec by the artist Arma Puros, which I downloaded for free at noisetrade.com. The album Timelines, and got permission from Arma Puros on Twitter for that. I also downloaded the song you're hearing right now at noisetrade.com. It is by a band called Ampersand. The song is called Aurora Borealis. It's on their album Trial and Triumph. Available for free at noisetrade.com. I haven't gotten their permission for this yet, but I hope to do so in the future. I tweet them about it, so we'll see what happens. You may also hear a more aggressive song that would be Ready, Set, Fire by a website called incompetech.com, where you can download stuff like that to use for your own goods, royalty free. Marking Out in the Morning is here every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can subscribe to our podcast at iTunes or Stitcher. Just search for Audacity Solutions Podcast. And of course, you can listen live every day or listen to the entire archive at blogtalkradio.com/Audacity Solutions.